What's going on, guys? It's Coach Mac back here once again, not only helping you with basketball, but helping you with life. Okay, so today we have officially come to the end of our mini little series of confidence. And if you remember, I believe the biggest difference between good and great, the thing that separates good and great is simply confidence. So you might be asking yourself, Coach, what if I do everything it is that you've told me to do? What if I become a student of the game? What if I let the game come to me? And what if I practice like I play and I go even harder in practice, but I still don't have that separation that I would like? Well, today I'm going to give you that. And I believe the separator is faith. And James, I'm going to give y'all a lot of Bible today, but in James 2:26, I believe it says that faith without works is dead. So you've seen that you've done the work part. Now you must have faith. So how do I get faith? And that's a great question. So Romans 10:17 says that faith comes by hearing and hearing by the word of God. So what are you listening to? Whatever you're listening to is either decreasing your faith or it is increasing your faith. So let's talk about that, because y'all know I could not do a series without the Bible, because like I always say, there's Bible for everything. So let's talk about it through David and Goliath. And we've talked about the story of David and Goliath before, but we did not talk about this aspect of it. And we talked about David, how he was prepared to fight Goliath because of his off season, but there was something even before that gave him true confidence that prepared him for the biggest moment of his life. So, but before I get into that, there's a quote that I like that I heard Les Brown say, and he says, it's better to be prepared for an opportunity and not have one than have an opportunity and not be prepared. So David was ready for this opportunity. And he didn't stay idle, as we see, he worked. But when the opportunity presented itself, David did something very, very important. And we're about to see it in Deuteronomy. And that thing is that he remembered the covenant that God made with Moses. And so it's found in Deuteronomy 21-4. And this is very important. I'm going to go ahead and read it. But it says, when you go out to the battle against your enemies and see horses and chariots and people more numerous than you, do not be afraid of them, for the Lord your God is with you, who brought you from the land of Egypt. So it shall be, when you are on the verge of battle, that the priest shall approach and speak to the people. And he shall say to them, hear, O Israel, today you are on the verge of battle with your enemies. Do not let your heart be faint. Do not be afraid, and do not tremble or be terrified because of them. For the Lord your God is he who goes with you to fight for you against your enemies, to save you. So David remembered what God had told Moses. And it's important that we remember what God tells us, but your memory is so important because it increases your faith, because you've been there before. You've done something before where God kept you, where you became victorious. So if you did it then when you remember things, it's like, oh, if I did it then I can do it again. And it was very common for the children of Israel. And for my Bible readers, you know that the children of Israel were God's chosen people. But for my people who may not read the Bible, the children of Israel were God's chosen people. So David, if you remember when he was about to fight Goliath, this is very important. He said, who is this uncircumcised Philistine that he should defy the armies of the living God? And he put emphasis on this uncircumcised Philistine for a reason. And it was because that meant he was not a part of the covenant that God made to Abraham. So the sign of God's promise to his people, it was circumcision. So he's saying, who is this uncircumcised Philistine, which means he's not like us, in the words of Kendrick Lamar. And he's saying that because, okay, if he's uncircumcised, then he's not like us. And God already promised us that we will be victorious. So I can't lose going into this battle because he's not one of us and I'm on God's side. So David knew that he was going to be victorious. So who does that tell you that David's confidence was in? It wasn't in himself. It was in God, because God already had made this promise to Moses back in Deuteronomy with the children of Israel. And if you read in as we just read in Deuteronomy 1-4, he was talking about, he brought to memory, I brought you out of Egypt. And the way that I did that was I split the Red Sea so y'all could cross. And when the last person crossed, then I allowed the water to come back. And so everyone who was behind them, they drowned. So I've done it before. So if I've done it before, I can do it again, because he's the same God today and then as he was back then when he was leading the children of Israel out of Egypt. So it might seem like David was foolish. King Saul thought he was foolish. A lot of people are like, who is this young boy? He's foolish. He doesn't know what he's talking about. He doesn't know what he was doing, when in fact, it was the exact opposite. He knew exactly what he was doing, because he remembered the covenant. He remembered the promise of God. So he had an understanding of who God was and what God can do. So I'm saying this, that is where David's confidence was. So like David had to remember, we have to remember what God has said about us. And in Romans 8:37, it tells us what God says about us. It said, yet in all these things, we are more than conquerors through him who loved us. So we already know we're more than conquerors. We already have the victory. And I got a lot of Bible, because remember, there's Bible for everything. But in Hebrews 11, it talks about the heroes of faith. And it talks about, by faith, Moses did this. By faith, Jacob did this. By faith, Rahab did this. By faith, all of these people did this. But how was it that they did it? And it was simply by faith. And in Romans 1:16-17, it talks about, it says, it's Paul, and he's addressing the Romans, and he says, for I am not ashamed of the gospel, for it is the power of God until salvation for everyone who believes, for the Jew first and also for the Greek. For in it the righteousness of God is revealed from faith to faith, as it is written, the just shall live by faith. And as children of God, we have an advantage, because we have been justified and we are required to live by faith. And I believe that when your work meets faith, that is the key to unlocking God's power. It's simply your superpower. Your faith is your superpower. So why even do something if you do not have the faith? So I want to encourage you that true confidence does not come in your own ability. You can do all the works that you want to, but if you don't have that belief, if you don't have that faith, then a lot of times it will not come to pass. So have faith in whatever it is that you do. Know this, that true confidence is not in your own ability, but is simply in the faith and your belief that you have in God, knowing that you are more than a conqueror through him who loved us. So this wraps up the mini confidence series. Know that, yes, I want you to do all of these, that works and faith go together. But I guarantee you, if you do these things and you know that God is on your side and with him that you cannot lose, that your your confidence is going to be throughout the roof, and you will perform better in anything than you would before without God. So the key to true confidence and where true confidence lies is in your faith in God. So as always, I hope this helps.